Hello, my astrology family. This is Lada from astrolada.com here with the beautiful Zorina Dimitrova. Hi, Zorina.
Hi, beautiful Lada. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Zorina is the creator of Learn and Heal. It's a platform
Heal
that,
and learn.
sorry,
Heal and
it is a platform for self-growth, and it's a platform for learning business and learning spiritual methods, and it combines a bit of both worlds, the material world, the spiritual world, self-growth in any way, psychology, and even the Silva method, which Zorina works a lot with. The Silva method, can you tell us a bit what it entails, this method that you work with a lot?
Yeah, well, we've already had a few interviews with you where I've explained what the Silva method is, but it's basically going in alpha state, learning to go in alpha state and working with the energy matrix. So you rearrange your reality, you can manifest with it, you can clear past traumas, you can discover information, you can learn stuff. You basically activate your supernatural abilities.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you're not gonna learn how to fly. I mean, mental. You start controlling your mind. You discover information in terms of what is influencing you or who is influencing you in a certain way. You start seeing more clearly. So it is basically for identifying information, but also for controlling it. So that's why it's called also Silva method for mind control or ultra mind.
And it's used also in businesses. It's taught to CEOs in businesses, but it's basically is the sphere of the occult. It's like how to be your own psychic. And what was fascinating that I did one session with Zorina. It was 20 minutes only, and she put me in that state for about less than 4 or 5 minutes, and then I started feeling and seeing things and images, and it was so quick. And for me, it was physical because I feel through my body. I felt waves and I felt warmth in different parts of my body. It was incredible, and I felt waves of love and feelings, powerful feelings. While some other people they have images, sensations, and apparently everyone can learn it. And today we're talking um, about the topic of relationships with Zorina. We've forgotten that topic for a while. This year has been all about career and mission and purpose because everyone is confused where they're heading, where the world is headed, because everything is changing. But we shouldn't. And Zorina did 3 or 4 workshops this year, and you told me that every time you do the Silva method, they would be for career, for focus, for future, but all people would start asking about relationships at the end.
Eventually they want to know more about their relationships. Yes, they always want to learn how to attract a partner. And what I got during the previous course that we talked about last month, which was the purpose grail, and half of it was based on me lecturing and us interacting in a more psychological manner, in a more practical day-to-day manner. The second part was again me teaching the Silva method, and with the Silva method, of course, they can discover their purpose. But what they started asking me was again about relationships. So they wanted to see, how something will progress or if there's potential in the relationship. And I thought, well, people really want to, either the topic is coming back or it's just an innate thing that people always want to know, because it's an everlasting question. It doesn't set. People always want to know about relationships.
This is the most
Yeah.
fundamental, it's for me, since I finally got on a relationship I feel happy in, everything else balance itself around. Some people don't need relationships. Some people are happy without, but I'm one of those codependent people that when I don't have a relationship, I'm out of balance almost. Like I can't focus on anything else. And the moment I found the right relationship, I feel so anchored and everything. It's so interesting when you find a right or good partner, your abundance even starts growing. Within 3 months of meeting my husband, this feeling of love that I was feeling, this feeling of being supported, because you can meet someone that you're very in love with, but your energies don't align together, they clash, they do interference and they bring you down instead. It's like I've noticed that if you meet someone and you're very in love with them, but you start seeing that your everyday life starts going, maybe in your career, maybe with finances, some problems start coming. some issues in other parts of your life, for me immediately might be a sign that this person, it has a different vibration than ours that clashes with ours and creates a dissonance and disharmony. But when you meet the right partner, and it's not only love partner, it's a business partner, it's a friend as well, another human being, where your vibrations kind of align properly. They're called dharmic relationships. So it becomes a resonance then, where a wave, two waves meet and they enhance each other and becomes like a much way bigger wave. And then everything in your life rises in amplitude. So within 3 months of meeting my husband, my income doubled and it continues to grow, and my health started improving. And I've been trying to have children for 7 years before that. It happened within 1 month. So everything lines up. And sometimes you might just fallen out of dissonance with your partner, and so right now it's not as strong as it was at the beginning. Now we're having problems, every couple does, but there is ways to align again to your partner, to find an alignment. And I think relationships are just so pivotal to enhance your life, and to even spiritual teachers say that if you meet the right partner in the right relationship, and they're not only personal love, marriage, usually it can be that, but business, it's such a big blessing, and that's when your opportunities double up, basically. So sorry.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love your perspective as well. I was thinking about your case when you met your partner, and then maybe it was your Jupiter enhanced, and that's why you had also an increase in income. But
well, his Jupiter falls in my second house.
Okay.
He didn't do anything. This feeling of positivity and ease that I had about my relationship, it flowed into everything. And
of course, you raise your vibration in one area, it raises in all areas.
It flows into everything else. So everything started happening so much easier in all other areas. And can you give me an example with what you do in relationship? Can you give me, like with the silver method, what can be done for relationships?
Well, some of the things that people ask me, and this was the major question that I actually wanted to talk to you about, was, and then I'll tell you what we do for relationships, but the major question that they had was, well, what is important for me? Is it my purpose or is it my relationship? What should I discover first? Because in a previous course that I've had, which was about business, I also touched on relationships. And there I said, once you figure out your relationships, everything starts falling into place easier, just like you explained, and it's true. And there's, of course, a logical and energetic perspective behind it, an explanation. But on the other hand, if you don't know what your purpose is, and what your purpose is not a destination, it is a destination, but it is a destination within. It's knowing yourself, knowing what you want. It's not going somewhere outside of yourself. It's not going to a certain place. It's knowing what you want, what your values are, who you are, what you're capable of, knowing yourself. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know yourself, first of all, you don't value yourself. If you don't value yourself, you attract somebody who is not appropriate for you. So you'll always be disappointed. And if you don't know what you want, you'll always be disappointed anyhow, leave alone the value.
So what is it, the chicken and the egg?
The chicken and the egg, exactly. So it's a staged process in the end. So you need to have some level of self-understanding in order to get a relationship, so that you open up and you start, raise your vibration, you start receiving more opportunities, then you can further develop to know yourself better and to be on your path. It's not like what is first, what is second. You move them simultaneously. You need to be happy in all areas of your life, but it's a stage process. Step 1, step 2. It's like, because if you're completely unaligned with yourself and with your purpose, you won't get relationships. That's the truth.
It does start with self-work first.
It does start with self-work. Yes.
Oh, okay. I did that for 15 years before that.
Yeah. So it finally materialized. You see?
I was on the path already. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in astrology, there is a saying in ancient Vedic astrology. The husband in Vedic astrology is Jupiter for a woman's chart. Because most of our viewers are women, I want to talk a little bit about that. And Jupiter because Jupiter is like blessing from God. You know, it's Jupiter increases your abundance. Maybe when you're with the right partner, of course, it increases the right partner is like a wise teacher to you, increases your blessings and abundance. But a lot of people, a lot of women, me including, have a very difficult Jupiter, say Jupiter with Saturn or with the North Node or with the South Node, or difficult aspects or in a difficult house. So most women have difficult Jupiter, which means that, does it mean they'll never have a good partner? Well, what the ancient book says is when if a woman's having problem with finding the right partner, attracting wrong partners, she should start working on her Jupiter personally, which is self-knowledge, exactly what you said, which is a woman should start reading more books, taking maybe some classes or courses, learning. Jupiter rules spirituality, so she should work on her spirituality. And spirituality is not just to sit and meditate. Their spirituality is joy, to tap into your joy, into your flow. And the meaning of Jupiter is happiness as well, and joy. How to, you know, and when you're in the right track, when you're with the right purpose or destination, you feel this joy naturally. Even if your destination is to be a cleaner, but you'll just be, you know, you'll be in that flow, in that joy. Sorry, you go.
Don't need to apologize. It's a lovely conversation.
I would feel like I'm talking too much.
You should be. If you have something to say, I apologize for that. My phone was just ringing. Yeah, so Jupiter, joy, self-fulfillment and self-knowledge, knowing yourself and constant learning is key, because by constantly, give me a second, I apologize for that. Okay. So by constantly learning, you expand yourself, you learn about how, not only about yourself, but how other people see you. They show you a mirror. So if you're in a relationship, you learn more about yourself. You see, and this is the continuation of the staged process. So you learn about yourself, then you raise up on vibration, you start achieving more in your life, you move towards your purpose, and then you start getting to know yourself more through the relationship. So they show you a mirror. Where are you? You start learning about psychology, you start learning also practical things, how to interact with the particular person. Yeah. So I think I'm repeating myself about the staged process, but I got distracted by the phone.
No.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
So you asked me what you can learn in the course, in the Silva Method course, which is called the Other 96.
Yeah, what can you do with this method, for example, in relationship? Can you give me one quick okay, so maybe
an example? Sure, of
yes,
course.
let me tell you. For example, let's say I am I'm giving imaginative example, and I say I'm with my partner, but I'm interested in someone else. Things are not going well with my partner. I'm confused. Who is the right one for me? The other person is like so great, so much better. I'm at a loss. What do I do?
So what we usually do is, because this course I'm doing in a mastermind group, so up to 12 people. So what we do is, in meditation, we sit ourselves visually in a circle, and we have one of the people turn around outside of the circle and look at their situation as if it's a picture somewhere, you know, in the distance. So each of us takes turn, or we talk simultaneously whenever we receive messages about what we exactly see the other person doing, and how do they interact with the third person, with the fourth person, what is their relationship. So sometimes you can get an insight, a bodily feeling. You know, if you have a repulsion, you can have your stomach tight, or you know, so some people have a strong physical reaction.
Or it's one of the people that they're imagining,
for example, or you can see them turning around or getting angry, or you basically see in a very compact way the situation, and so you receive compact insights that contain information about their attitude, their feelings. You know, because when you see somebody's bodily and facial expression, you know exactly how they feel and what the relationship is. Wow. So this is what you can communicate, and the person sees it themselves. The thing is, once you're in this circle of, it's not even meditation, circle of work, everybody sees what the other ones are seeing. Sometimes some people don't see, but with time they develop it as well.
Okay,
so let's say
another problem. Say I'm
yeah.
someone who partners always cheat on for some reason. Maybe they lie about money, maybe they lie about sleeping around, and I don't want an answer. Now I want to change that. How do you do that with these methods that you're teaching?
Well, if your partner is a cheater, this is usually a question of self-worth as well. So what you do is you discover back in time, this is already working on traumas, because if your partner is a cheater, it's not like, yes, you can manifest somebody who's not, but you need to clear out the way first, your attitudes, because you'll always keep attracting in the end somebody who's a cheater. So you have to go back to your past and see where the first time was when this thing happened. And this is used very often in methods that were developed after the Silva method, like in hypnotherapy and even in rapid transformational therapy. They bring you back to the point in time where it first happened. And with the Silva method, you can actually go back in previous lives. So it may have happened way beyond this time.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you usually ask the question, when is the first time that this thing happened? And you start receiving images, and your brain somehow, it's not even the brain, it's the matrix of reality somehow puts together these images and brings you to the exact point where this thing happened, and you see it playing in front of you, like an image.
Wow.
So you can start changing it then.
Okay, another thing, another possible situation in relationship. Say I'm a woman who, and I realize that the problem is in me, and that whatever I enter into a relationship, I become very critical of my partner and very intolerant, and I start, it's just everything starts annoying me, and I start fighting and trying to control him, ball busting.
Yeah.
How is there a way to change with this methods you're teaching, how to fix yourself? Like how is it, as an example?
You have to again look into a future picture and rearrange it, so you see what the current situation is, and then in the future you change it to your desired picture, and you start infusing it not only with images and with connections, who else is seeing this, because the other people that participate in your picture are actually creating points of view, and the more points of view there are of other people that want to influence your picture, the more you stabilize it.
Wow. So it's like working together to create a mental image in the invisible realm.
Exactly.
When it's not just you, it's a group of 12 people, and it's way more powerful process. So you have this vibrational match, higher vibrational match to you in there in the mental field that you can step into, because it's so much more powerful when it's created by 12. Wow, I like that.
But not only that, you can even see people that are not there that are supporting this image. So people that are friendly towards you or wish you the best, you can also include them in the picture and have them also supported, because the more people focus onto something, the more this choice of reality is set.
Yes, that's what quantum physics says, that when you observe a particle, it starts behaving differently when you look at it and when you don't. So consciousness is what controls matter, because a particle turns into a photon if you look at it, and it turns into a wave if you don't look at it. So that definitely, where you put your consciousness and attention, this is what creates the reality. And so can people also, for example, someone they don't have a relationship and they want to visualize, to visualize the partner, for example, someone who is, has certain qualities and certain lifestyle. Can this be work? Is that what you teach in the method, for example, as well? And all of the group, they come together and they focus their mind on this image and help the other person manifest it?
Right. That's what they do. And very often it happens that a process has already begun with somebody that they have in mind. So they know very well who it is, but we still don't put a facial image. We can discuss, the way their bodily posture or their setting, what exactly they're doing, how they're behaving with each other. So what we're seeing, but we can't discuss what they look like in the face. Or we can describe a smile, but not necessarily look at the face. So very often it happens that the person knows who we are talking about, and or the setting that we're describing has already happened, or they know where it is. They know of the location that we're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be unethical if someone is in love and comes to your workshop and they say, well, can we like now focus on making this guy fall in love with me too? Isn't that more like a witchery, witchcraft?
Yeah, well, the first thing I explain in the first session of the other 96%, because it's not only the silver method, there are other spiritual principles that we're working with there, but I described very much in detail what the principles are of working with the silver method, and one of them is never mess with anybody's will.
Free will.
So you cannot choose for somebody else, and you know, when you're doing this, you're choosing for them, which is not allowed.
So basically, it's more like holding an image of that what is highest good for everyone involved, the highest good for everyone, and then it's magnified by the presence of everyone else and their focused consciousness in that. So it's like basically it's like a workshop in a manifestation.
Yes, I in the previous versions of the other 96%, I taught not only manifestation but also healing, working with the council. But this time I'd like to focus specifically on relationships. So one point will definitely be manifestation in relationships, but then we're going to be talking about fixing a relationship that already exists, or checking what the situation is, looking a bit into the future if it's allowed, you know, for the benefit of all. We're not going to be doing fortune telling or anything, but sometimes a road in the future has been already decided on, and we can see
and then it's clear.
And then it's clear. Sometimes it helps, yes.
Because I've had many times when friend would go to a psychic and she was not clear about her relationships, and the psychics could not say. They say it's like, I can't. And the moment she made up her mind, the psychic started without telling them. She would not tell them, she would just ask the same question. And all the psychics, they started clearly seeing it as well. So it's
because we are choosing in the moment. We can change it at any point in time. We can change our decision. Yes, sometimes we've gathered so much inertia that it moves towards a certain direction, and then we can see it when there's a lot of, you know, energy already put in the future, and we've already created the road with our desires. But we can also change it. It's I'm going. It sounds a bit like Esther Hicks, but this is the nature of reality. We can change things.
But usually when the ball is rolling and when there is a lot of intention behind something, sometimes you're just rolling towards that direction, and the person might not want, and they just want that direction. So
that's true. But it's you know, people also learn to work with the highest ethics possible when you're doing spiritual work. Because lots of the practices don't give you a holistic view of what exactly you're doing, how you're impacting others, how you're impacting your karma even.
And that can be like black magic, basically. Sometimes, you know, it's very dangerous sometimes working with those spiritual principles that are coming out, manifestation and all those if you don't have the moral foundation, because then if you mess up, you can basically even interfere in someone's, you know, there is black magic in Bulgaria, where me and you are from. It is very ubiquitous that a woman would go to someone who makes black magic, give a piece of hair of the person they love or whatever, and of someone who is married, for example, and this guy goes crazy in love with them obsessively. He can't sleep. He goes, ruins his family. And this, such kind of stuff, it can be, you don't have to go to a black magician, but if you start constantly focusing on imagining, it's like going against the free will of someone else, and basically if they're not in love with you, you start imagining them being with you, leaving their wife or whatever, and you're violating the free will, and you change their destiny, and there is a hell to pay after that. I mean,
that's for sure. And especially if you know what you're doing, because when you know what you're doing, you are signing your ticket to hell, you know, because sometimes you mean well, you don't know if you're making a mistake.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew a lady who was so in love with a married guy for 9 years, for 7 years they had an affair. The wife knew as well. He kept going back and forth, but the lady was just so in love. She kept like, she would just daydream all the time about him, and everyone was telling her he's never gonna leave his wife. He had 3 kids, and but he was like obsessed with her as well. And at the end he left his wife. She made it happen basically with all this constant daydreaming. And it is basically a bit like silver method, isn't it? The daydreaming, it's, you enter the state of consciousness, and she just imagined how they're always together. And I remember we would sit somewhere in the restaurant and she would just get lost, and I said, are you imagining that you're having dinner with him again, with your future family? And she would be, yes, I am. And at the end, he ended up being with her. And a few years after that, we saw her and she said, why did I ever want that? I'm so unhappy now. They ended
Yeah.
up having actually 3 more kids together, but she was like, I should have, as she said, and she told me specifically, she said, I think I made it happen with my constant daydreaming about him. Like I called him with my mind. And sometimes,
Mhm.
like, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard also of stories now that you talk, mentioned black magic, and I've also heard of stories where women are so disappointed with their choice that they've wanted so much that they ruin their lives. But it's the worst thing is when they leave them afterwards. So the women leave their man of choice, and then terrible things happen to the person because they've basically ruined their lives. They've tied them energetically
Mhm.
unfairly to them, and once they decide to go, the man is basically lost because they're tied to somebody that doesn't want to be with them. They can't choose otherwise.
But when you said about that,
Yeah.
something, I don't know if we're talking about relationship, but have you noticed that, yes, usually men are the cheaters. In most cases, men are the ones that cheat. Their way, of course, women that cheat. But what I've noticed is that when a woman or a wife leaves a man, the man gets devastated usually. And it's usually, most of the cases, it's women that leave men. And
That's
most of
true.
the cases, if a man leaves a woman or a wife for another woman, very often or a woman or a wife leaves a man, the
Yeah,
man falls apart more. I wonder why
that's
that
true.
is. It's rather than the woman. It's like the women are the stronger one. The women find a way. Maybe we're more adaptable. Wow, men. And there is another spiritual rule. What that I thought about is that when a man and a woman are connected sexually, the woman is the giver. Interestingly enough, we think the opposite, but the woman gives her sacral energy, which is the creative energy in the sacral, through the sex process, especially if she enjoys the sex as well. She charges up the man powerfully, and the man takes that sacral energy that he takes from the womb of the woman and brings it up to his higher chakra, because his higher chakra is here, the third chakra of willpower, of success. So
The yellow one. Yeah.
yes, and then a man starts becoming more successful and more powerful, and has more energy. Actually, the esoteric sources say that men don't have their own energy per se. That men's creative energy comes from the woman, for them to
Yeah.
create,
Mm.
like businesses or success or their vision to make it happen, unless they're spiritually very evolved and they know how to bring their own sacral energy to transform it, because they have way less sacral energy. That chakra, the second chakra in men, is way less developed, while in women is more developed because they have the pot belly. Wherever your chakra is more developed, there is like a bump on that part of the body. For example, the throat chakra is
Mm.
developed in men, they have the Adam's apple. The heart chakra more developed in women, they have the breast. The chakra of willpower more developed in men, they have the upper belly bigger. The women have the lower belly bigger, which is the sexual, the energy of life, the second chakra, I forgot how it's called, but it's the sexual energy chakra. And women charge men even if they don't even directly have sexual contact with the man, but with with the energy that comes from there, a man can, when he is with a woman, he charges himself. Nowadays it's sexually, we're not evolved enough to do it yet, in different ways. A man gets charged up and succeeds, and when he loses that woman, a man has only 3 years resource of that energy. So after 3 years resource, if he doesn't find another woman that is just as loving as the previous one, and that is just as giving, and that is sexually connected to him, then he starts his reserve starts waning, and he starts not being successful in business. He starts losing, he starts becoming a loser in life, basically. Because that's also the chakra that brings joy. That men have it weaker and women have it stronger. That's why men need sex from women, because the joy from life, the creative forces, they come from the woman. And this is fascinating. When I've read so many, I always wanted to understand that. I don't know how it is with same-sex couples. Usually one is more feminine than the other, so they'll have this is how they do the exchange. Whether it's a female with female or male with male, there is always one that is a bit more feminine role, and the other one is more masculine. So that's how they exchange the energies. So that's what I was saying, that I've noticed that men tend to, unless they find someone else that is, very quickly attach themselves, or unless they master control of his energy, or someone who restrains from sex and knows how to transform the lower to the higher for creative purposes, then such men usually, unfortunately, go down. So men don't leave women. It's and women
but
don't punish you men as well by not connecting with them on a physical level for too long. Sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not, you see, the connection, if there's not a connection on the physical level, usually there's not a lot of love out there. And the question with these manifestation techniques that, in some ancient texts, that I don't know if they're really that true or that pure, or where they come from, because I haven't researched them, but I have some sources that tell me they're not very clean. So the thing is, when you're charged up through this process, what charges up the man is the love. And combined with sex. So if the love is missing and it's only sex, it actually depletes the man even further. So if they go to to the oldest profession, ladies, they will not get charged up.
No. That's what's, I've even read books where psychics are watching a man being with a paid woman, or with a lover that likes him just for the power or the money or the sex, that is not truly devoted and in love like the woman. And we're not talking in love like, because you can be in love like that with person, but that's not true love. True love is like, you really care like a mother for him, basically. And they've watched the sexual interaction between such people, and the thing doesn't close the energy, because it becomes like an energy loop through the man and the woman that spins both chakras. It doesn't lock. It doesn't complete. So you're very right. It just happens when there is love.
Exactly.
Rather than just sexual.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's a saying also in English, but in Bulgarian we have the saying, a woman makes the man. Maybe it's also in English. I think it's in all languages, because it's a universal truth. And it is what you've just explained, how a woman makes the man. It's through love. Yes.
And occasional connection physically. Basically, actually, is the opposite is also true. Constant sexual stimulation, it brings all the energy from the higher chakras, through which you create businesses, success, love, connection, worldly and spiritual successes, brings it down to the lower chakras. And then it's again, we shouldn't abuse the sacred power of sexual connection. It should be done only with love. And one of the worst things is like the porn. I think porn is such it's just sucking the life force of people.
Yes, and I also agree.
It not only sucks it, but it's addictive. And psychics, high-level psychics, they observe people that are addicted to porn, and I'm not judging. I can say I used to be 6-7 years ago, before I met my husband. And it's a vicious, it gets, and you're not satisfied. You need more and more and more extreme. It's kind of gross, And psychics, when they observed, they saw larvas, like spiritual entities, that like larvas around the sexual organs and the sexual chakra of such people. And they're keeping them almost like they drain their life force. They make them obsessive. They disturb the mental process. A person can't think clearly. A person starts getting neurotic states as well. It's not at all satisfied with anything in life, and does not give him pleasure. Only these larvae, they just basically want the constant sexual stimulation, and it's a prison. You can break it out again by self-abstinence, but we're talking here about love between two people and a sexual contact between two people that love each other. So that's very.
I think in India, if I'm not wrong, they call these the nagis, these entities, yes,
yeah.
that would obsess over people that are too obsessed with sex, and they start influencing you negatively. Of course, the first thing that these people get, and if you're one of them, you will for sure observe this, is a decrease in self-confidence, because the more you perceive the other person as an object for sex only and not as a person, you stop seeing the divine nature in them, and you stop seeing the divine nature in yourself.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. Wow,
Yes.
that's so true. So basically, the people that most abuse others in sex, like treat them like an object, they're the ones that are.
Even if you watch it,
I remember
you see,
watching such
yeah.
things, and it was.
Mm-hmm.
I felt disgusted with myself. Maybe that's why I had zero confidence.
Yes, the first thing it hits is self-confidence.
Wow, I never thought of that. This is fascinating. Huh. Yeah, because you disrupt the connection with the divine. Wow.
You perceive the person not as their divine nature. You see them just as an object. This is the thing, for some purpose of yours or bodily need.
That's a very painful situation to be in. And that's we're creating so much pain for ourselves by ignorance, by not knowing. So some person might think, well, I'm successful, I do this or do that. Why do I have such low confidence? And that's due to lower passions. Yeah. Wow, I never knew that. That's fascinating. I'll tell him to my husband.
But as you know, sometimes low confidence is invisible. It's seen by other people as high ego. And these are usually the people that are
arrogance and
exactly
don't want to put others down. And I've noticed people, because I've worked with many people who've had porn addiction, sexual addiction, or even they in a good relationship with a good woman or a good man, and they're obsessed with someone who is like way worse. And they're like, why? This is very similar. This is because they just want to have sex with that other person. They're like, I don't want to even go out on a date with this person, but I'm obsessed. I can't stop thinking about them. A lot of men do that with their lovers. They don't even want to take them to a restaurant. They don't even want to, they just want to go and have sex with them. So this is the same, like it's kind of a sexual addiction to a sense. And I've noticed that people that go through that in their lives, at least once, they have hard Pluto aspects to their planets. Might be hard Pluto aspect to their sun, like Jeffrey Epstein, hard Pluto aspect to Venus or to their moon sometimes, or to their, just one of the personal planet, or Mars. And because I have Pluto hard aspect to my Venus, Sun, and Mars, I went through this period and self-objectifying myself like a sex object as well. But I have a lot of helping aspects from Neptune, from the moon, through spirituality, through higher thoughts. I'm out of it. It's such an amazing feeling of freedom. I can't explain it. Not to have those dark sexual impulses controlling you. It's absolute freedom. Whoever has never had that type of addiction, they're so blessed. And whoever has had it liberated, they're like even 10 times more blessed because they know how better it feels. So yeah, if someone has Pluto, just plugging in some astrology, sorry, but you have to be a bit more, especially cautious with porn, with starting to fantasize about, sexually. I'm not saying don't fantasize or don't have healthy sex life, but it can get dark, or experimenting with dark sexuality, with two extreme things, because you're most susceptible. You carry from past lifetimes those proclivity. You've done those things, and the door can open for you so easily. And those entities, those larvas, they attach themselves so strongly. And even about entities attaching themselves. We did the silver method with Zori about my brother. He went a bit, for a week. He lost it. He would not talk or anything. And I'm like, Zori, do a silver method. What's happening to my brother? And she saw an entity attached to him. So this
The thing is, whenever there is a strong desire for something, like an unbearable desire, like you feel somebody else is pushing you, it is because somebody else is pushing you. Or if you feel obsessive thoughts or something, like it is because you are being obsessed.
he
This
had
is it.
he described to us when he came out of this that for 1 week he was seeing images of he was being given all the sex in the world in some astral other realm. He said it was so real to him. He was being offered all the sex, all the money, all the uh, Trump and Putin welcoming him into and was saying you're the king of the world now. And it's basically obsessive. He says like it was total obsession, it was total you know, being overpowered with desires. And he was having, funny enough, when it happened, Pluto transit. Pluto transit, difficult Pluto transit to his moon and to his Saturn at the same time. So even if you're having Pluto transits, you know, this is and what Zorina did was fascinating. Can you explain what you did when you found that entity? Zori saw an entity with the silver method. Can you tell the story?
Well, I don't know if it's the right time to tell it now. It's something that that Krasi taught me, a part of what you can do with it. Basically, I saw, and I've taught it also in other courses, if these are specific types of entities. These are not the souls of dead people, because you recognize them by their weakness, the weakness of their structure. They're thinner, darker, weaker. They feel weaker. So what you can do when you're in alpha state, if you're not scared, and you shouldn't be scared because there's nothing to be scared about, you're the most powerful thing on earth and in the universe. So you take out this thing out of the head of the person. And what Krasi taught me is something that is from Master Bain Saduna. You tie them in a knot.
Yes,
So
that's what you did. You were tying knots. I remember
yes.
you took those entities and you tied them.
You tie them, and but basically what you do is, once you're sure that they're not the souls of somebody else, which is something that will show, as I said, you will not see them as dark, weak entities, but they'll show as an image of a normal person if they're souls. But what you do is, actually you have the right to destroy them. You don't have, what I did is I threw them outside of planet Earth, but you have the right to destroy them in whatever method you choose, with light, with explosion, with whatever.
With Angry Birds.
Yeah.
It's your imagination. You can use it.
It's only your imagination. In Silver Method, you work with your imagination, with your belief that what you're doing is true. So intention, belief, and feelings. You know,
Yeah,
you
well, the
to...
next morning, my brother came out of that state and he started telling us all those crazy stories of obsession, very platonic, very dark. And after you did that, he came out of it within 24 hours, I think. So
Sometimes it works very fast. The Silver Method is fascinating. I've spoken to people who have used it to heal other people's and successfully from serious diseases. So yeah, it works.
wow, thank
For
you.
me, it has been working for years and years. And what you mentioned at the beginning of our talk, that CEOs use it, not very many CEOs and executives use it. Most use NLP. So I read somewhere statistics that 80% of CEOs in the world, top executives, and not just small companies, but top executives, use NLP or have been trained in NLP. But I actually think that they have been trained, and NLP, you know, by my observation, is a derivative of the Silver Method. But I think that they've actually, exactly, it came much later, and it is based on the same principles. So yeah, lots of them use these methods. I don't know if you call them a code, they're just knowledge about the human mind control. Yeah.
So Zori is starting that group. She has a special coupon for anyone who's Astrolada viewer. There is a link below in the description. There is a 20% off for Astrolada.
It was 20% for this course, and if you want to do the Purpose Grail, it's also available. It starts later in the month, in September.
So one is for love life and relationships. The other
Right.
one, how to have better relationships, how to manifest the right relationship, how to improve your behavior in relationships. And the other one that starts later is a focus group on finding your purpose and career and building it.
So the first one will be mostly focused on the Silva method, and I'm going to put in some manifestation practices that are outside of the Silva method there. But we're going to be talking about relationships in this first course, the other 96%. And the second course, which is the Purpose Grail, is going to be half about analytical tools and half we're going to be doing the Silva method. So not necessarily focused on relationships, although we can touch on relationships as well, as
Yeah,
they're a
second
part of our success.
career purpose. The first focus group you're doing about the personal life of people. It depends what they prefer. So do check those links before, guys. Sori is an amazing teacher. With me, zero ability to meditate. If she could put me in the Silva method in 20 minutes, you have a way better chance, because I'm like the last person on earth who believed could enter such a state, but I did. So fascinating. You're awesome teacher, Zori. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Lada. Lovely talk.
I
As
enjoyed
always.
a lot. So interesting
Me too.
things. So many interesting things. Bye bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.